not, in his infamously known as Venice. The four directions, we pray that the ancestors come and guide us and help us with courage and strength. Creator, you bless this with a little bit of tobacco, the sacred lands, the Tonga people, and all their relatives in the four directions. My relatives, let this not be the last time that we see your beautiful faces, and you come out with courage, and you hold up Black Lives Matter, and don't come with another agenda. You can't come out with Black lives because they matter. And pray where you're at. Be ready, get ready. Come back and join us.
We always say here at Black Lives Matter that Black Lives Matter is a spiritual movement. We are rooted in the spirit of our ancestors and in the spirit of our Creator and in the spirit of our origins. So, the Reverend Tabitha Jones, Dr. Tabitha Jones Jelamet, is going to lead us in an ancient Egyptian tradition called libation.
Thank you, Pastor Q, and thank you to our sister who acknowledged that we are on sacred ground. So when we come with our rage, when we come with our grief, when we come with a sense of disbelief and perhaps even hopelessness, we do so in recognition that there is a Creator who grieves with us, whose spirit is outraged alongside us when we gather to pour libations, who bear witness to those ancestors who summoned us into this moment. Ashe. When I say Ashe, I want you to repeat it with me, because we stand here on sacred ground, and we stand here as a sacred people. As a sacred people who gather physically, but also who gather in this realm spiritually. I want you to notice that we are surrounded by a multitude, yes? We are surrounded by a multitude that summon us with their blood and with the fight of freedom to take up this work in this moment each day. And so I want to invite you to join in with me as we call on the names, especially of those freedom fighter ancestors whose bodies and spirits and lives and hearts and minds bear witness to the work that we must do today. It is our practice to wait for a period of 40 days before we call on the names in libation of those whose lives were cut short. Because we believe that they are transitioning to the realm of our ancestors. And so, as we acknowledge that we stand in the place where Brother Keenan Anderson was murdered, right? We want to especially call forth those ancestors whose righteous struggle in the fight for freedom demands that we do so with our lives. So I want to begin by saying the name of Mama Harriet Tubman, and I ask that you repeat it and say Ashe. Mama Harriet Tubman. Mama Harriet Tubman. Ashe. Queen Nzinga. Queen Nzinga. Ashe. Malcolm X. Malcolm X. Ashe. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. Ashe. Betty Shabazz. Betty Shabazz. Ashe. Let's call on the names of those freedom fighter ancestors. Say their names. Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer. Ashe. Fred Hampton. Ashe. Nat Turner. Ashe. James Baldwin. Ashe. Gloria Richardson. Ashe. Ella Baker. Ashe. Bayard Rustin. Ashe. Marsha P. Johnson. Ashe. Audrey you, Lord. Martin Luther King Jr. Ashe. Coretta Scott King. Ashe. Bob Moses. Ashe. John Lewis. Ashe. Medgar Evers. Ashe. Huey P. Newton. Ashe.
Need an exercise? Oh, God.
Gabriel Prosser.
Yeah, thank you.
Ashe. I want you to take a moment to notice those whose spirits stir among us. And perhaps there is someone, most especially, whose spirit is summoning you. And so on the count of 3, I want you to say that name as we pour out this last bit of water and summon in the world we must build, a world that is fitting and deserving of our people. On the count of 1, 2, 3. Ashe. Let us be renewed in our spirit. Let us be courageous in this fight. And let us stand, not just today, but each day, against the machine that is dealing death and choosing life. Let us choose life in ways that we show up with our prayers by moving, not just our mouths, but moving our feet. Ashe? Ashe.
Enslaved person, so Mama Harriet Tubman got in the way, and he tried to get her to hold that person down, like the cops who did Kyrie. They were trying to get Mama Harriet Tubman to participate in the brutality. And she stood in the way, trying to stop it. And the master threw a 2-pound weight at the enslaved person, but it hit Mama Harriet Tubman in the head. She began to have mental issues after that. She had spells and pass out. And when she recovered, she prayed to God. When Mama Harriet Tubman was following in the Christian tradition, she prayed to God. She said, God, please save my master and save me. Shortly after that, someone came to her and said, the master is about to sell you and a group of enslaved people to the chain gang. So Mama Harriet Tubman, being the warrior that she is, deep love, but also a warrior, she goes into her closet and she prays again. God, if you're not going to change that man's heart, kill him! Right after that, someone came to her and said, Master Dave, Mama Harriet Tubman, this is stories they don't tell you. Mama Harriet Tubman felt bad. But I'm here to tell you today I wouldn't feel bad. This system is too brutal. But she felt bad. And so my prayer this evening, my prayer is that God, oh God, we come before you today collectively saying, since we can't change this system, since we can't abolish this system, kill it! I'm sorry, we can't abolish it. Kill it, that's what abolition means. Kill it, destroy it, burn it to the ground. I say, Amen and amen. We're going to get our system together. And now I'm going to turn it over to one who needs no introduction. Am I looking at it wrong? Yeah, we're going to do our safety announcement. Michael's going to take it away.
Thank y'all for coming. Security announcement, courageous discipline is showing resist while keeping in mind the safety of yourself and others. Which means please do not rush over disruptive situations. I'll repeat that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Courageous discipline is showing resist while keeping in mind the safety of yourself and others, which means people do not rush over to disruptive situations. Operational unity. Everyone is working and organizing in a unified direction, which means in case of emergency, follow the direction of the organizing an event. Pastor Q, Dr. Jones, Dr. Lee, please follow their lead. We keep us safe is that the community works to keep themselves safe. Make sure no one leaves alone. Please leave in groups. But watch out for each other, especially the most vulnerable. Do not give yours or anyone else's information to strangers. Please leave the space promptly after the end of the rally. Don't socialize, leave. It's for our own. And know who you organize with outside of the space. Do not join protests by people you don't know or call for violence. No matter what you feel about it, if it's on the flyer, it is a setup. I repeat, know who you organize with outside of this space. Do not join protests by people you don't know or call for violence. No matter what you feel about it, if it's on the flyer, it's a setup. So who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe. Thank y'all. Love y'all.
Give it up for Michael one more time. And now, without further delay, I want to bring to the microphone someone who needs no introduction. She is one of the leaders of the leaderful movement of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles and Black Lives Matter grassroots. Give it up for Dr. Melina Abdullah!
Hey everybody! Hey! Are we here? We're here. Are we here? We're here. We've been here before. We were here just a couple of weeks ago. Y'all remember standing in the pouring down rain? Most definitely. Y'all remember summoning spiritual energy? Y'all remember saying the name Keenan Anderson? Y'all remember weeping and holding each other? And us having to say to one another that as we move for justice in the name of Keenan Anderson and Takar Smith and Oscar Leon Sanchez, we know what pushes us forward is all of those energies that were called for by Sister Dr. Tabitha. All of those energies of the continued caretakers of this land, right? And we're grateful for our indigenous comrades who've also been taking care of our altar space for the last couple of weeks. We were here praying. We were here summoning that energy. And that was so important. It is so important. It's so important to pay tribute and to have vigils. It's so important. And as we prayed that Keenan would be the last name that we had to call. And just a few days later, we would learn of the murder of our brother Tyree Nichols across the country in Memphis, Tennessee. And many of us chose not to watch the video, but some of us chose to watch the video. And some of us felt tremendous sorrow and heartache and heartbreak as Tyree called out for his mother. Those of us who are mothers When we heard this young black father, who's also a black son, say, "Mom," he was only 80 yards away. "Mom," because the police were stealing his life, and he knew his mother was one of the only people who could save him. "Mom," he said, and when we heard that, my heart broke. And even as I think about it, the tears flow. And there's a place for tears. But may the tears water the ground as we turn the fuck up. You know, I don't know if you've been watching as these fools have been trotted out on MSNBC and CNN that your police chief, Michael Moore, had the fucking audacity to call that murder grotesque. There was one murder in Memphis. There have been 3 in Los Angeles.
Talk about it.
Fuck you, Michael Moore.
Talk about it.
You know what's grotesque? A fucking system that steals the lives of more people than any other place in this fucking country. And you call yourself a damn leader? Karen Bass said, your mayor, that you know you thought you would elect and she'd be different, and maybe she will. But she said this is not about training, this is about leadership. Well, let me ask you, Karen Bass, Michael Moore is up for reappointment. You ain't said shit about how he has to go.
Talk about it.
Are you gonna make him go? Because if you dare to say Tyree Nichols' name, let me tell you who he's ascending to the realm of the ancestors alongside Keenan Anderson. They're on the same journey at the same time. Takar Smith, they're on the same journey at the same time. Oscar Leon Sanchez, they're on the same journey at the same time. And so we should shed tears. We should feel it. We should refuse to become numb. Our hearts should break. We should allow ourselves to sob in the dark of the night. And we should demand justice, not just for what's happening in Memphis, but what's happening right here in LA. So, those 5 cops who killed Tyree Nichols went to jail awful quick. Those 5 black cops, supposedly black, because all cops are blue, they ain't black. But they got immediately fired, charged, and sent to jail. Immediately fired, charged, and sent to jail when the cops who murdered Keenan Anderson at this fucking intersection haven't even been named. If they can do it in Memphis, they can do it here. But let me tell you, the only way they're gonna do it is if we make them do it. If we make them do it. If we say police must be abolished. They hail from slave catching. It's an evil fucking system, and it has to go. It has to go. So some of y'all wonder why we say no cops at traffic stops. Say that with me. No cops at traffic stops.
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 We gonna start with that. Then we gonna say no cops in housing, no cops in schools, no cops in bus stops, no cops in mental health, any motherfucking where. Police threaten black life. They don't keep us safe, we keep us safe. And so you're here today not for a vigil for Tyree. We are here to turn up for Tyree, for Keenan, for Oscar, for Takar, and for these babies who inherit an earth, who inherit a world that we are duty bound to make worth their lives. So we're going to hear from a few more people, but we want to be very clear that the vigil was 2 weeks ago.
Let's talk about it.
This is a fucking turn up. Ashe! Ashe!
Turn it down for what?
Say his name, Keenan Anderson.
Keenan Anderson.